Alright, hey everybody. Let me finish a couple things to let people know we're going live. See something on Twitter. That, and what's the other thing I wanted to do? Stream labels. Make sure that's all updated. Okay, do your thing. Alright, and then I'm going to launch Chatty so I can talk to y'all. So, looks good. There's Chatty. Never eat the antenna. Okay. Connect. We are live. And coding some .NET Core Nuget packages. Okay. Phone says we're on. Somebody let me know if audio is okay, because sometimes that's a problem. Test, test. Looks like we're good on audio. Alright. Crack this a little bit. Alright. So today we're going to look at Visual Studio 2019, and we're going to take this ASP.NET Core Startup Services project, walk through it, and then turn it into a Nuget package that we can add to any other project. So let me minimize that. Hey Jason, Skinny Seahorse, thanks for coming. Let's see, I do want to pull up my dashboard here. Oh, nope, not that. Where's that? Dashboard. Bingo. Alright, so I got that. I got Chatty. Alright, so let's look at this project. First, I haven't really touched it in like 2 years, you can see from here. But I do use it on a few other projects. So let's go to Visual Studio 2019, which maybe you haven't seen. And we're going to clone or check out this code. And I haven't actually used this workflow before, so I want to see if it works. So I'm going to take my Git Repo and just paste it in here. And we'll throw it into this Repos default folder here. For now, that's not usually where I put stuff, but that's where Visual Studio wants it, so we'll see how that goes. And we'll clone that. Visual Studio will do its thing. And there we go. So here's my project. Let's take a look at what we have in here. Alright, so plain old ASP.NET Core project. And in startup, there is this all services mapper, right? So let's make sure we can build. See if I can put on my headphones. Okay, so build was successful, I think. I hope. Where's? Alright, so then let's set this run. Click on, we listen, care about that. Doesn't look like it's actually opened up the solution. There we go. Now we've got the solution open. I don't think it actually built before, so let's build it. I see there's an extra step when you just clone that repo like that. You've got to then manually open up the solution. So alright, we've done that. Now it's actually building. Probably I'm going to update some of the dependencies it has, because like I said, I haven't touched this in a little while, but it seems to still work. It's the startup, so let's run it and see what we get. someday. What are you doing? Well, it's not fast, is it? Alright. Really don't know what it's waiting on. Let's look at this code for a sec. All it should do is otherwise run that. So if we go to /all-services, it will run this. Otherwise it will run this, which is basically doing the same thing in either case. So I don't know why it's just hanging. Let's try running it with Kestrel so we can see what it's doing. This will launch us a new thing here, telling us that we're on 5,000. Pop this up and go to the 5,000 URL. And hey, it works just fine. So I don't know what's going on with IIS Express. Let me kill IIS. See if that fixes it. So it's already gone. That's weird. Right. Well, let's just stay on Kestrel for now and see what we get. So in here, we can see these are the different types of services. These are all default things because this is a minimal project. I haven't actually added anything. So you can see all the stuff that ASP.NET Core puts in there by default. And my goal is to get this piece of middleware right here into a separate piece of middleware that anyone could just add. Alright, so that's what we're trying to do here in the next hour or less. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is add a new middleware. So we'll come in here and we'll say add a new item, and there's actually a middleware template in here. So we'll go find that middleware class, and we'll call this show all services middleware. Does that sound reasonable? What I call my repo? ASP.NET Core Startup Services. Yeah, show all services. That sounds good. So we'll add that. And then in here, basically, this invoke method is where it's at as far as this goes. So I'm just going to take the code that was in startup here, and we might want to have a way to map it to that particular variable, but I think, yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's just do this for now and see if I can replace. I'm going to replace this app.run with the code that we're about to do. So take that and go into the middleware. We've got our context, and we'll make it an async call and paste this in, and then we still want to call next there. I don't remember if that means an await or not. Not awaited execution. Maybe that should be await next. I don't recall off the top of my head. Alright, so I need the string builder, namespace. Hey, a few more of you have joined. Welcome. I don't have these services. I'm going to need to inject that, so we'll get that in a minute. This HTTP context I only need here to actually send it. And then to get to these services, let's go back to startup, see where that's coming from. That's probably being set right there in configure services with that iService collection. If I want to get to that somewhere else, I can probably just ask for an iService collection of services in my middleware. Let's see if that works. So here, just say I need that, and we'll pull in our namespace, and we'll create and initialize services, which I would prefer to be named underscore. There we go. And I don't need this. And now this works. Okay, so now we can build, and voila, we just took a request delegate from startup and turned it into a piece of middleware as a class. It comes with this handy use show all middleware extension methods that we're going to use in a moment. So we're going to come down here and we're going to say app.use show all, and it should really be there, show all services middleware, like that. And then that's going to want a namespace. We'll probably want to redo the namespace by the time we make this a Nuget package. But we're still in test mode. So, show all services middleware, and then this should be able to go away. But our behavior should be the same. Yes, I'm on the treadmill again. You should have seen my last stream from Monday when I was demonstrating how well I can type on a treadmill at various speeds. But yeah, that's why I'm doing this a little bit as I walk here today. If that's distracting or if the treadmill noise is loud, let me know. But I thought I'd give it a shot today since I just did a stream on doing it Monday. Alright, so we'll save this. It's also cold here. It's like -4 degrees outside, so this is helping keep me warm. And let's go back to running it. So Control F5, and it's unable to resolve iService collection, it tells me in the other window. So that means this is not going to work for us. But that's okay because we actually get to those services from HB context, so I don't really need that now that I remember that. I think I can just say HB context dot request services should do the trick. And what are you? My service provider. So HB context dot request services dot get services. Is that all I need? Maybe? What do you return? Type type T. Okay. Service type, type T won't do it for me. I need another lifetime and other details. I'm not sure request services will get me that. So why isn't iService collection working here? That works fine at startup time, but I think it gets turned into something else. iService provider. Can I get the iService collection from? So I think it's only accessible during startup. So let's see. Configure services, you have access to that. I want to be able to get to it without having to have a step that has to happen inside configure services. So like right now, if we look at startup again, right now I'm requiring something happen in configure services. Like I'm adding that to configure services. So the question is, if I didn't do that, could I get to that myself here inside of configure? If I can, then whatever technique I use there, I should also be able to use inside my middleware class. I wonder if you can add the services collection to the services collection. That would be interesting. Right, if I did that, then I'd have access to it. I could say something like services dot add singleton of iService collection itself, and then I could ask it for an iService collection in my middleware. Like that should probably work now because I've just added it. I wonder if that'll do the trick. That's still not ideal, but we'll go with it for a moment, see if it works. So it says cannot, I'll stay there. Debug so it sticks around. That way you can see it. Cannot instantiate implementation type iService collection for type iService collection. Alright. Clearly that's a problem. So we can't do that. In here, if I can't pull in service collection, how do I get to that list of services? Next question from chat says, are you using iMiddleware interface for middlewares or prefer a convention-based approach? I am using the custom middleware here without the interface, and then just allowing, you know, this helper method to be what adds it, using use middleware of T. Alright, I didn't expect to get blocked so quickly on this issue though. I want to be able to get to this as a separate thing and not have to copy paste it into startup. That was the whole reasoning behind trying to make this into a Nuget package. So I just need to figure out how can I get that collection into some place that this middleware can get to, or access it if it's already there. So that iService collection gets turned into a service provider at runtime, and the collection, I'm not sure if it is accessible. When we look at HTTP context, we look at its services. Here, request services. That type is an iService provider, and from there I can get to the services, or I can create a scope, but I can't just get to the service collection anymore. So let's see, access iService collection from, I think there's a way. Instance, inject iService provider. Yeah, okay, it's not helpful. Alright, so let's assume that I am okay with the fact that startup is going to have this data. And startup has access to services. What if I made this a public property that then I could get to from here? That would be kind of ugly, but it would probably work. And then how would I get a reference to that startup instance though into my middleware that is supposed to work anywhere and not know anything about the particular startup class? Well, I can inject startup into services, but it's just a type. Again, I don't know how to get to that type. I could use configuration, and I could store the service collection into configuration. Maybe that's an option. So I could say something like configuration.add. How do I manipulate configuration? Get section. Let's see. I think I can add it into there, but let's do services.add configuration. Let's do that first. that not working? That, and this I guess is I configuration. Configuration. Do that. Configuration is in there, and then something else can ask for configuration and get to it. So I could go over here and I could say I need my configuration config. Right, and that should work. That, and then rename this to this. Right, I'll do this. Okay, so now in configuration I could have a dictionary of services perhaps. Which would be, again, requiring some code to add. But we'll go with that. We'll say that's not the end of the world. Alright, so ASP.NET Core configuration, add automatically. That's in the docs. The docs say access configuration during startup. It's just a dictionary, right? But is it writable? I know when I wrote this document, here, tear this tab over where you all can see it. So when I wrote this document on configuration in .NET 1.0 days, I know there was a sample that would show how Luke's rewritten it. Alright, so maybe it's not there anymore. Okay, so configuration, conventions, providers, command line, custom, here's a program with some dictionaries, create app configuration, add in-memory collection of whatever, okay. See, I could do that. I don't want to have to do that though. I want to be able to just work with whatever's already been configured. Single service requirements to work full time. Choose some statement with using my route. Lightman Den, I'm reading your question here. How to create a singleton service which will work full time independently, and I can change some state in it by using my route. You can do that. Just create a singleton service, give it a property, and then modify it wherever, you know, from within a route or a controller. Doesn't matter. That should work just fine. If it's not working, let me know, like, what behavior you're seeing. I know there was a way that one could just add things to configuration in startup before, and so the path that I'm going down here is to try and see, is there still that way? Alright, so here's memory configuration, create a dictionary of keys and values, create a default web host builder, but they're adding memory collection to it. I don't think that's there by default. It sure looks like configuration is behaving in a read-only fashion. I can get a section. I really thought I could read, or I really thought I could write to it here. That's unfortunate. Alright, so I could store. So basically, I've got this service collection. I'd like to be able to take all the data out of it, put it somewhere that my middleware can get to, and then get to it from my middleware, right? It shouldn't be that hard. So in startup, let's just say that I need to do that work in here somewhere. So the service collection has a list of these services. And I just want to take that and store it somewhere. I tried adding the service collection into the service collection, and that didn't work. But what if I do an iOptions of T? That could be a way to wrap it. So where was that? Options, pattern, extension, configuration, go there. And this says, okay, create some class. That class is going to be my options. Services.configure of T with that configuration. Alright, so I want that. And my T is going to be my service collection. That's not going to work. Well, we'll see. Maybe it does. So configuration is added. I don't think I even need this because that's done for us now in 2.x. I'm not sure I'm running on 2.x though. That would probably help too, is if I could get us on the latest version. So let's jump this up to 2.2. Include ASP.NET Core .app version whatever. Alright, let's build that. And this thing is saying something it doesn't like. Alright, that built, and where are we at in terms of running this thing? Let's leave this out for now, and let's leave this out for now, and bring this back, and see if we still run okay. Now it's listening on 2 ports, which is good. And here we are, and refresh, and look at that. Now in 2.x you can see we added more services, because this just got longer. Okay, so type lifetime instance. I should probably add a border on this thing so that this instance is more clear that it goes under that column. Maybe I'll add some bootstrap formatting or something. We'll get to that later. Alright, so good, that's working. Close that back down. Now if we do add this into configuration, is there any chance that that's going to let me get to that? I think I almost need another type for that, like a dictionary of services of my own that I would map that to. This is a service descriptor. So if I had a list of service descriptor that I was throwing in there, I could have maybe a public class service config, and it had a public list service descriptor. GitHub, not GitHub, I'm not sure what you're asking for. You hoping I have a bot that'll answer that question for where this code is? JJ Furrier. Let's do dot get set equals new. I should probably give that a name. Services equals new. That. Alright, so then if I instantiate a new service config and throw that into here, will that work? So var config is new service config dot services equals services dot I can enumerate over this service collection that. Does that work? Okay, then I can take this and just say that service config, right? I was checking if you had a GitHub link command. Okay, cool. Yeah, the GitHub is this, which I should probably do a commit here soon, but that's what we're at. Okay, so we create a new type, service config, we add all the services to it here, we configure configuration with it there, and then if I ask for that service config using options like this, I should be able to get that into my middleware. Right? Configure options bound and configured by delegate. That's interesting. So that could do all that work in one line. I might do that soon. Alright, so then how do I actually ask for these options in my other type? It's iOptions snapshot. Do I remember right? That's probably what I want. Configure my options, yada yada yada. Okay, you're not showing me how to ask for it. I could just have to ask for iOptions of T in my... Okay, what is iOptions monitor? I don't remember that one. That one must have been added later. I think I can just ask for iOptions. Let's try that. So over here, in my middleware, instead of asking for this, I'm going to ask for iOptions. Options of, no, I don't want IS options, stop helping. Options of this type, and there we go, and then this becomes, when I get it, I want it to be the current value, right? So iOptions config underscore config is that type, and that should be config dot value. Alright, so now that config is my list of things. So in here I can go to underscore config dot services, and that should be my list of stuff, right? Right way, create different app, click the web app. Just create this feature for the same service. What's the right way? Lightman Dan, I'm not sure. Are you asking about what I'm doing? Or are you asking about something of your own? I will try and answer your question, but at the moment I'm struggling with getting my own stuff to work. Alright, for your own application, I would need more context about what you're asking. And then I would be happy to try and answer. Value cannot be null config. Okay. Let's debug that. Something is null here. So let's see. services, configure, service configuration. Why is configuration null? Oh, I know why. Because, wait for it, I upgraded this thing to 2.x, but I didn't actually add the new 2.x stuff to program CS. Alright, so this is the old 1.0 stuff, and it's not doing anything with service collection. So what we're going to do is cheat real quick. Create a new Visual Studio 2019 instance over here, create a new project, create a new ASP.NET Core web application, call it web application 1, it's fine, or 11, whatever, create that, and I'm just going to steal its program.cs, so one of these, it's fine. It's probably an easier way to do this, but over here, and just take this, I'll just take the whole program, throw that away, and take this program here, and paste it in, and see if that fixes it. No build errors, no build errors. What are you talking about? Repos. I probably need some namespaces too, huh? Like, who are those? Alright, now let's try it. I get the exact same error. It cannot be null. That's because I need to do not just the program.cs, but also the startup, because I need this bit. And then if I go into my startup, I will add that right out here. So I didn't have that before. Alright, and I just need this type to match this type. Everything should be close to happy. Happy. Alright, one more time. Boom. Alright, now it works. And don't need this anymore. That's how easy it is to upgrade from 1.0 to 2.2 if you have a trivial application that's not doing anything. And in here, we can refresh this, and it does not work because status code cannot be set because the response has already started. Huh. Okay, well that's a new error. That's related to how I've set up my middleware. So one of the things you have to do in middleware is be careful of writing it to the output if it's already written. Because the response has already started. This is a common error. The answer is not any of the things I'm looking at. Alright. So kill that and look at my middleware a little bit closer. Alright, so let's verify that /all services still works. Because that should be the old way of doing it. And I had killed the thing, so refresh. It's getting the same error. Oh, but that worked. Alright. Cool, okay. So it worked, but then it called into my middleware, which then didn't work. So that's fine. Alright, so this works fine. App.map. think I don't want to await next. I think I just want to return. If I get rid of this delegate and I say I'm a short-circuiting middleware, there is no next. I think that will do what I need. Let's find out. So forget about await next. We're just gonna be done here. Let's do that and run it again. It does not like that. Suitable constructor was not found. Interesting. Alright, let's. Perhaps my middleware needs to have. Hi, all of you guys. GAProgman, how are you finding VS 2019? So far, it works nicely. It's a little faster actually than VS 2017. Malachi, hi, good evening. Nice to see you. Yeah, I'm on a treadmill, but I'm not really exercising. I'm just slowly walking along. Does your middleware implement iMiddleware? If so, it needs to have the request delegate, the one I just got rid of. It does not implement iMiddleware, but I think that is the problem. I think what I just did is what's breaking things. Because it can't find a suitable constructor because it's expecting it to have that. So I don't think I have to implement iMiddleware, but I can. If I do, it'll have the invoke async perhaps added on here, down here. And then it wants the request delegate next. Which again I don't care about. And if I don't use iMiddleware, I just use the convention-based. I think it also still expects me to pass in next. I thought I could do short-circuiting middleware without it though, but it seems I was mistaken. So in any case, let me throw that back in there and still just ignore it though and not call next. And the question is, why is it giving me this issue with response.write? You don't often have to implement it, gives you some useful stuff. You could use events when you update this table and then have the subscriber update the stat data. Maybe use something like Hangfire to do this in the background. Well, they shouldn't modify the services after startup has happened, so I'm not expecting there to be any changes once the app is running. I really just need a way to persist that data of whatever is in services at the time that this thing starts up, and then be able to access that from this middleware really just once, like this. Oh, okay, sorry. Alright. Thank you. Yes, let's stop debugging. Let's build this. I'm never going to get to the Nuget package thing that I promised to do if I can't get the thing working as its own middleware. So hopefully this is at least interesting in its own right. Alright, I don't need that anymore, so that can go away. Let's run this. It's running. Go back over here. This one works fine with my middleware in startup. This one does nothing but doesn't blow up, so that's good. Right, so why is that not working? So in startup, it's calling that now. Show all services. It's probably because I have. No, I get rid of that. Okay. Well, let's resort to debugging. I'm not a big fan of that, but let's try it. I don't have any tests that are helping me, so debugging is more required than otherwise. Alright. Refresh the page. And debugger hits. And what is in config services? Oh, there's nothing there. That's why. Okay. Why is there nothing there? Let's drop back for a moment. Come into, let's see, options of service config. Oh, I see. I know what happened. Doing this didn't actually add this. this config. But that should have been that. Let's try that. Oh, no, it's not going to work. No. Alright. Cannot convert service config to an action of service config. Delegate action of service config does not take 0 arguments. No? Configure service config takes in an action of service config with the options what else? What else can it take? 5 overloads. My configuration, action of service config, binder, action of binder options, T options we bind against. Let me see that iOptions pattern bit again. I thought there was a way I could just pass a thing in, right? So in startup, where's the startup part? Configure options, configuration, okay. How do I bind it? Config equals that, configure my options config, okay, that just sets it from whatever that config is. I want something like this with this delegate, right? So configure the option and say my options such that, okay, so maybe something like that's what I want. Okay. So something like that. So in service config, do this and say that I have config such that here config dot services equal new list of service descriptor services, right? It's not quite right. There. No? Local parameter config. I've already got that one and that one. I need that. Alright, so I think that does it in one step. We might be close. It builds. And it works. Well, that's amazing. Alright. Is it really working? Am I screening up? Alright, so I don't need that. I don't need any of that. I won't need that in a minute. So in here, I definitely don't need that or that. Just clean up a bunch of junk I don't need. Alright. And if I don't even have that, and otherwise I just say, let's say app.run, no, I leave that out there. Let's just leave all that, run it again, boom. I'm actually a little amazed that this works. Boom, hey, it works. Alright, sweet. Alright, so now, this is really our demo. We want to create a new class library that's going to be our Nuget package. So back to my to-do list here. We're going to do this review. That's what we just did. That was painful. Sorry. And now we're going to create this Nuget package. To create the Nuget package, we're going to create a new project. Because I just want this one file to be in here. So the new project we'll call class.NET Standard Class Library. Next. And we'll call it Ardalis dot list startup services. How about that? It's going to bite me when I decide to name my middleware that, but we're going to take this, we're going to paste it up here, and something didn't like that. Delete that, that's fine. Okay, come in here, show all services middleware, that's fine, we'll keep that. Dependencies, let's go here, edit that and say we need that, and then edit this one, and give it the same. That should be alright. I probably don't even need 2.0, but we'll leave it there for now. Okay, so then in here, this thing should have a reference, so we're going to say add reference. To the other one, say OK, and then make sure this thing, let's see, make sure this thing is in the right namespace. Ardalis dot list startup services. That. Reference to abstractions. Okay, now Visual Studio's not happy. There it goes. Alright, I thought if I added the dependency here to netcore, ASP.NET-Core.app, that I would get in everything I needed. So I'm going to have to fix all those dependencies. Alright, so request delegate it doesn't like any of these things. Alright, so why? Package ASP.NET-Core App 2.1 is not compatible with Net Standard 2.0. Package ASP.NET-Core App 2.1 supports NetCore App 2.1. Okay, fine. Let's just do this. We'll fix the standard thing in a minute. Will this work? Maybe. Okay. Doesn't have a target for that. Is there a Net Standard 2.2? Maybe I have to give this a version. Package NetCore App is not compatible with Net Standard 2.0. NetCore App 2.1. Alright, time to Google that. Package ASP.NET Core.app is not compatible with standard. Okay. What do I do about that? Install that SDK. Core app. Net standard library referencing ASP.NET Core referencing. There we go. So that pulled that in successfully. And this now just needs namespaces, right? Right, so that is a using statement. Oh, and service config, that needs to be pulled out as well. So that can go to a new file, and then that file go up into here, and it can get the same namespace of Ardalis.list startup services. And that works. Alright. And this becomes that, I guess. Okay. My options. Not sure why it's not letting me use using statements here. Code fix provider. Okay. HTTP context. Now it's doing using statements. That error must have been my problem. I see. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Actually, as it turns out, I'm not even using next because this is self-terminating middleware. So we'll just get rid of that. And I think I can pull that into a using statement now that it's doing that for me. Alright. And get rid of that. We're so close. Alright, so application builder needs that. And that's alright. Our sample project is about to get a lot simpler. Alright, so I need this. I don't need this. I do need all that. I don't need that. I don't need that. And I don't need that. But I would like to do... Eventually, I'd like this to be something that shows up off of a particular path. So I need to do that. All right. Okay, so everything now still seems to work, except that it blows up. And why is that? Blows up because it says suitable constructor could not be found. Oh, did I do it again? I did it again. I'm an idiot. Alright. That thing I keep wanting to get rid of because I'm not using it, it really needs that. So, in here, it really wants that request delegate that I can bring in a constructor, and it's going to tell me here that I don't need it, and I can remove it, except that I really need it, because otherwise I get that error. So, Let's add a comment to that. Go. And now we run this on two projects. Middleware is in a separate project. Find this and refresh. It still amazingly works. Alright, so now we're going to add a Nuget package. So for a Nuget package, I'm going to go steal my Nuget package script from another project. So on github.com, like Ardalis, guard clauses, I have a nuget.txt that I run, and it's also got a link to my publication checklist. But basically, we're going to do a .NET pack. We're going to update the CS proj with our release notes first. What does that look like? Well, in our CS proj file, we can specify a bunch of Nuget-y things like package ID, title, generate package, authors, company, project package URL, description, summary, repository, tags, notes, version. That's probably about it. And a few other things down there. So we'll grab that. We'll go up to this project here, and we'll edit it. And it doesn't have a lot here to begin with, but we're going to add all this stuff in here. And we're going to call it Ardalis dot with startup services. Copy that a few places here. Generate Ardalis, yada yada yada. That GitHub repo has to be this one. And this is diagnostic middleware for ASP.NET Core to display all registered services. And that sounds like a pretty good summary as well. Boom. And the repository URL is the same as this. So grab that and throw that here. And tags will be core, diagnostics, services maybe. Let's see if that works. This will just be initial version. The version will be 1.0.0. And that goes there. Alright, now what else was I missing? Back over here. Package icon URL. Nuget.org. I'm not really good at these icons. Let's go find one from this other project I have. Smart Neon. And it has an icon URL I can steal. Even find its project CS proj. Package icon URL is that. Oh, wait, I want the whole thing. That. Okay. And anything else here? Features. Publish repository URL is true. Sure. I need that. Do I have that already? I don't think so. Package tags, package release notes, root namespace. I don't think that matters, does it? I don't know. Grab it. I don't have that yet, do I? No? Alright. So root namespace is this. Alright, that's good enough for now. So now let's go back to my Nuget list, which I have in this repository as well. Looks very similar. I'll probably add it to the repo that we're working on here in a moment too. Alright, let's check my questions. Little question is configure services execute only once when the app starts. That's correct. configure services only runs during startup. Alright, so we're going to do this .NET Pack command next. So I'm going to go get a command prompt here. So we'll do this. Now we're in PowerShell. And our thing here says, alright, let's do .NET pack-c release/p version equal 1.0.0. Boom. File runtime.json was not found on disk. Why would I need that? Why am I running SDK 2.2 preview? I should probably not be on the preview bits anymore. I wonder if that's an issue. Okay, so we'll go make sure I've got the latest SDK, which I thought I had. 2.103, it's already there. It says repair, uninstall. So why am I running on that? That makes no sense. I don't have a global JSON in here that's telling it to use a different version. Alright. I think I'm going to have to mess around with the repo on disk too, because it didn't do the right thing when I created this project. I'm not sure that's related to this problem, but it is a problem. Because right now, it has, under repos, it has ASP.NET Core Startup Services right in the root, and then this other one is side by side from it, which puts it out of source control, which is obviously not going to be a good thing when I go to commit. So I need to clean that up, but I also need to figure out why this .NET Pack command isn't working and why I'm running on a strange version of SDK. So if we do that, I would say .NET -- version there. Alright. Remove .NET Core SDK version. I want to remove it. I think I can just go. There's a -- info that tells me more. And it says I've got all these versions installed. Alright, great. How do I remove it? Add remove programs, maybe? Is there not a command line way to do it? Alright, looks like add remove programs is the way to do it. So there's a script that you can get that's referenced off of this URL. But I don't feel like messing with this, writing a script right now when I can just get rid of the one that's causing me problems. So here are all the SDKs I have installed for .NET Core, and there's a few of them. And the one that's causing me problems is the preview one. Let's see, which preview one? 222 preview. Oh, 222's not out. That is why I'm on that. Alright, that's probably okay. That's alright, never mind. I'm going to leave this alone. 222 preview is just because I've got the VS 2019 stuff. Alright, that's probably not the issue then. So what is the problem when I go to Ardalis.list startup services and I say .NET Pack. Why are you giving me that weird error? Alright, so let me go back to where my thing is. I want to say -C-P. Okay, so .NET Pack -C release /P version equal 1.0.0. And you're going to tell me some strange error like runtime config.json to be packed. Alright, so we're going to Google that. Runtime config.json to be packed was not found on disk. And that's because it's not added to this. For any app targeting 1.0, blah blah blah. It's easy as adding that somewhere. Okay. Okay, this thing's been closed as if it were fixed at some point. That's from 2 years ago. .NET Publish does not create that. Maybe I need to do a .NET Publish first. Let's try that. Okay. Nope. -C release. Nope. Could not file because it was not found. So we'll build it. And then we'll publish it. And then we'll pack it. Ha. Alright. Probably should do those things for me, but let's start a little log of what that is that we just did. So we did .NET build -C release, .NET publish -C release, and then .NET pack -C release /P version equal 1.0.0. And then we have now, if we go back to, let's go in here and look at our directory, go into bin, directory, go into release, directory. There is our nupkeg file right there. Alright, so I can take that and do a Nuget package reference to it from the other project, and I can do that locally. So I think I have a local Nuget set up. Let's find out. Let's go to Tools, Nuget Configuration Manager, Settings, Package Sources. C: Nuget Packages is my local Nuget. Alright, so if I take that output from here to there, to there, to there, that guy, copy it, and we go to my C: Nuget Packages. Really, we can just drop it into root. Then if I change this thing to add reference, get rid of the project reference, and instead say, let's add a Nuget package reference. Now it's going to search my local as well. So when I search for Ardalis.list, it's going to say, no, I'm looking at Nuget.org. I say, no, look at local. And it's going to say, look, there it is. Say, alright, install it. This is always a good check when you're first doing a Nuget package, so you don't end up having to push to Nuget.org a bunch of times. Alright, so that worked. We'll run it. And it works. It's running. Come over here. Get rid of this stuff we don't need anymore. We refresh, and it still works. It's amazing. Alright, so now let's go back here. We're going to do this push, and I need a key. So I'm going to go off to Nuget.org, and I'm basically going to follow this checklist at this point. Alright, so down here, I did all these things, and I'm going to go here, I'm going to sign in, and I'm going to get my API key. Alright, so I'm going to come in this other window, I'm going to sign in, and try and do the right account details, and that actually worked. I'm going to API keys, and I'm going to say that, and copy that key, alright. And now I'm going to say done at Nuget push, there, so back to my console app. I'm in the right folder with the thing, and I'm going to say .NET Nuget pushed ss nuget.org whack API whack v2 whack package -k my key, and I'm going to go over here and paste in my key, and then Ardalis dot nugget, and it says that it worked. Your package was pushed. Alright, so then I'm going to take this window and I'm going to bring it over here, and you're going to see that there's now an Ardalis dot, it's not there, unlisted, list startup services, not listed yet. Alright, so this is on Nuget.org, and it'll show up there eventually. If I click on this, it'll take me here, and it'll say it's not published yet. That's fine, that won't take long, so we'll let that sit for a minute. And let's come back here and change this to Nuget.org, where it doesn't see it yet, but it will. And this should continue to work. So, let's check if you guys have any questions. No questions. Alright, so I'm going to wrap this up here a little soon. The next things that I need to do, which I'll do here in the next like 10 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap this up. I need to reorganize my source control a little bit, and then push all this up so that y'all can get to it. So that's my next step. So I like having the solution file in the root, and the projects in the subfolder, usually under a source folder. So let's kill this and go to that repos folder. And ASP.NET Core Startup Services, let's see, copy this into here, we'll create a new folder called source. Paste that in there. It's not working. Come on. File is open inside of another program. I see. That's because I've got the command line. There we go. Try it now. Try again. There we go. All right. So in here, I basically want most of the project-related stuff to go into this other folder. We'll call this folder, I don't know, web demo. That's really all it is. And inside of web demo, I need the startup and the program and the CS proj stuff and the properties and the other junk. That go into here and paste all that in. Alright, and now I've completely confused my solution, so let's jump into it and change this to be source slash that slash that. Did that actually work? not really. The startup services. Oh, those GUIDs aren't going to match if I do it this way. Alright, ASP.NET Core. Startup services should go instead. That should just be web demo. Right? Yeah. Alright, and this one, instead of being // should be source / and then that one. And then that one. I think it'll be okay with /, but we'll find out in a second. Alright, so now we should be able to reopen the solution, hopefully. And at this point I opened it with VS 2017, but that should work just the same. Alright, and can we still build it and run it? Looks like it. Alright, window pops up telling me it's running. Come back to this window here, and it still works. Alright, that's good. So now let's do some Git work to get it back up into the repo. I could probably do it all from Visual Studio, but I'm a fan of doing it on the command line. So drop back to the command line here and get up to the root, which is here. Git status. It's not really tracking a whole lot of stuff. So git add dot. Git status. There's all of our stuff. Okay, so then we can do git commit -n refactored to separate library Nuget package. Didn't like that. To do I need double quotes, I guess? Okay, maybe. Alright, that seems to have worked. So now if we go back out to here, and we refresh our package, refactored, yada yada. Alright, so that's all good. Now, the other thing I would like to do is grab the Nuget package location. Let's see if we can find this thing. Is it published yet? Ardalis. I don't see it yet. Alright. But I do have it still here in this other window. So if I look at Art Enum's info here, it's got my Nuget package right there, and this link right here, so I'm going to grab that. I'm going to jump over to this one, and edit that. And throw this little image shield on there, but with the startup services in place of Smart Enum. So there's that, and there's that. And this is a diagnostic middleware Nuget package for listing all services registered with startup and an ASP.NET Core application. Getting started. Reference. following at the bottom of so where's our code that we used to add this? Go over here, and we want to take this and say we need to put that into your code. Okay. And then we have the following to your configure method in For now, this thing just totally runs for every path of your middleware. So that's why we only put it inside of an if block. So we might do something like if environment equals something. We'll fix that. We'll fix that in a later version. What will that do for you? Well, if it's working, you should see output like this, showing all of your services. And we're going to throw a screenshot in here. A nice trick for a screenshot is, off there. A nice trick for screenshots is you can go under Issues, in a new window. We can grab this output here, make a quick screenshot, like that, copy it to my clipboard, go back into this issue, create a new issue called Images, and then go add a comment to it with our image, and take that and copy it. That comment around for posterity, close the issue so it's not cluttering things. But in here now I've got that image marked out, and I can just drop it right there. And then we can save this, like that. And there we go. So we've got a Nuget download with nothing. Should probably make the Nuget package link be a link as well, so we'll take that and make this a link. Like that. Commit that, and there we go. Alright, so now we've got a Nuget package. Let's go look at my to-do list. I think we're going to call it a day. So here, we published it. It should show up there soon. Azure Pipeline support, we'll do that next. So if you want to see what that looks like, if we go out to like the Smart Enum one and check this out, it's got an Azure Pipelines build that says it succeeded. We can click on that, we can see what that means. It'll show, here's the most recent build from January 25th, and what it did. I'm going to add that to this ASP.NET Core startup thing, so it'll have that badge, and it'll also have that build, and every time I commit, it'll do a new build. So maybe we'll do that on Friday. But that's all I've got time for today. Thank you all for coming. Do you have any last questions before I go? I appreciate you all being here. Hit subscribe if you don't mind, if you want to see more of this stuff and get notified when I'm going online. My normal schedule is 12 to 2 Eastern Time on Fridays. I don't see any new questions, so I will see you next time. Cheers.